Welcome back. Before we get into the subject of today's video, which there are a number of them, I released the 5th video over on the Moisky Reads channel about the Nyarlathotep. Link to that down below. Now, as a moment ago stated, we are going to cover 3 different topics. The first one, not so close to my heart, but I certainly have a passion for because of my own past. The second subject, I can actually support. And the third, seems to be the more appropriate way of handling it. So to the first one, when I was a kid, my father and our next door neighbour made me an N-gauge train set on this big block of MDF that went into a cupboard that was built above a ramp where the staircase was. I had the box room as a child, so because I had 3 sisters, I got the smallest room. As a consequence, I only had very limited space. The cupboard was pre-built, so my dad and neighbour built a MDF board with a bunch of hills and tracks. It looked amazing. And I do have a soft spot for N-gauge. I kept that board until I was 20, where it vanished from the face of the earth. I have no idea where it went. I believe it was thrown out by my stepdad and mother. I have managed to, over the years, retain a couple of those trains though, so maybe one day I'll build a new one. It would be nice. One of my lovely patrons who made some Skeptic clone badges for me is an avid train collector person type. You can call him a virgin if you want. And he goes to these regular meetings. Now, these meetings are held with a bunch of very old men and some young guys who are trying to encroach on it, probably with futuristic ideas of trains that don't run on steam. And they go to these meetings and they show off. And you see some truly magnificent pieces of work, not helped by yobs that do this. This is heresy, and I hope the people who did this are caught. That is decades of hard work destroyed by a bunch of thugs who can't appreciate quality. Oh, the damage to this train actually hurts my soul a little bit. Some of the people who have been working on some of those displays had been working on them for over 25 years. I know some people don't understand things that others have put a lot of time and effort into. I really do. But you don't, because of your lack of understanding, then decide to show off to your friends by destroying someone else's property. The Lincolnshire Police and a dog handler from Cambridgeshire Police have tracked down 4 of the youth so far. And I hope, as a punishment, I hope they're made to rebuild everything. There is a Just Giving page that has been set up to support the club, which has managed to raise £1,100 off the £500 target it had originally set. So fingers crossed, they're able to start rebuilding piece by piece. It is worth pointing out, as many of these people are quite old, it's not like they have all the time in the world to rebuild it, all the while actually having all the time in the world, if you know what I mean. Anyway, I hope they find the rest of them, and I hope they're made to pay, financially, and then rebuild everything from scratch. On to the second subject. See, I take great issue with something else that happens a lot now. When I walk down the street, I always see somebody with their phone in their hand, looking at their phone. Earphones in, music on, looking at their phone, or AirPods for those who are retards. Walking down the street, texting, reading Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, name it, they're on it. Smiling at their phone while having a private conversation because they can't be asked to wait till they get to work or to the location they're going to meet up with that person to have the conversation there. I have seen a few people come very close to injuring themselves. Some people running in front of cars because they're on the phone, they're in a hurry, but they need to answer their phone. They don't apologize for running in front of the car. No. They make the driver apologize and then continue their conversation. I've seen another guy walk into a brick wall, another walk into a brick garden wall that came up to his knee and summarily fall over it, only to then pick up his phone and apologize to his phone. Because, of course, while you were texting, somebody could understand that, and the phone has fifis. Back when Pokemon Go was a fad, kids were taking their parents' phones around where I live and running around everywhere with it. Some did, in fact, stop in the middle of the road to catch a Charmander, was it? Doesn't matter. Or was it a Tentacruel? I live by the ocean, that makes more sense. Doesn't matter. They were still running around, not looking where they were going, and causing trouble. Wreaking havoc. Well, somebody has already started considering options to remedy this. And I actually support it, because when I get a text message, I stop, move to the side so people can get past, and answer my phone. If I'm rung, then of course I put my phone to my ear, but I can still see where I'm going. Text messages, no chance. I will stop, and then answer it. New York is actually considering introducing fines ranging from $25 to $50 for those caught holding and looking at a phone while crossing the street, and for repeat offences, within 18 months, fines of up to $250, which could get quite pricey, I guess. Now, the Queen's Senator John Liu said the point of the bill is to keep people from being distracted by their phones while drivers are waiting for them to cross the street. And weirdly, I can support this. I can support this being introduced to the UK, just change the currency from dollar to pound. Because I'm getting kind of sick and tired of people doing this. It's quite embarrassing. I have, no joke, in London, had to grab a guy by his collar and pull him back because a bus almost hit him. Because he thought it was still green for us to cross. No. It had been red for about a minute. He just started walking anyway. He didn't, by the way, say thank you. He got angry, then looked up and went, not gonna have any of that. The senator did cite some data, but did not provide the data to back up the claim that the crossing the street and texting is a growing public health concern, which is in a statement he had made. Now, under the proposed bill, holding a portable electronic device while taking or transmitting images, playing games, or for the purpose of present or future communication, performing a command or request to access a worldwide web page, composing, sending, reading, viewing, accessing, browsing, transmitting, saving, or retrieving email, text messages, instant messages, or other electronic data would all be prohibited. The obvious and only real exception being those who are using their phones to communicate with an emergency response operator, hospital, doctor, fire department, or police officer. I'm going to say it now, I actually support this. Twice I've said it now. Seriously. More should be done to stop retards walking into the street and getting hit by a car. I know others will say, but it's just another stage of natural selection. You're right. But I'm thinking of the poor defenseless phones. Unless they're Apple, in which case, see ya, have a great time. The final thing I want to cover, because I'm done with that, concerns a kid that was taken away from their parents because the parents used marijuana. Now, I don't understand the circumstances of that, and obviously I'm not familiar with Texas too much. Naturally, many people have differing views on marijuana, whether it should be legal or not, and whether or not you should have it anywhere near children. My stance? I don't care what you do, but take it away from the child. Keep it as far away, because that is your little thing you're using to get yourself high. Calm yourself down. Use for whatever medical reason you have, if it is at all prescribed and legal to have as a prescription. I have once before stated long ago, Undoomed and I, back when we were much smaller channels, we argued about this. My position being, I care more about the health of the person. His position being, money. We can tax it and we can make a feckload of money. I get it. I just don't care. Health is more important to me. Which is why it's very tricky to legislate to legalize marijuana from a health perspective, because people's reactions are all individual and, well, not necessarily unique, but not all are going to be positive. Requires a lot of work and studies. Cameron, the 2-year-old girl, was then handed over to a foster parent. Well, now the foster mother is serving a life sentence for killing the child. And this makes you think, was it really worth taking the child away from the father when he only recreationally took it? The drug that is, the smoking of the doobie, the spliff, the marijuana. As you can tell, I don't touch this stuff. I think it's trash. But I don't begrudge those that do. A caseworker had determined that because of the father's marijuana use and the mother's medical condition of frequent seizures, that they were unfit to be parents. Now, if you were arguing from the perspective of just the mother, yes, but I don't believe marijuana use is enough of a reason to take the kid away from both parents, because it is not an indicator that you are a bad parent to begin with. In fact, I would argue it's not in the slightest. If we're going to go down that path, anyone that has a casual beer, anyone that takes any medication, because some of it does have adverse effects, hell, some make you sleepy after a couple of hours, we can't have that. And yes, I know, false equivalence, but I'm doing a little reductio ad absurdum because I can. I firmly believe that a mistake was made by a caseworker who I have no doubt after all the years that this has happened feels tremendous guilt for sending that kid to the wrong type of foster parent, or just taking the kid away from the original parents who are, no doubt, racked with grief and probably smoking far stronger substances now as a coping mechanism. Not that I justify it in the slightest. I'm not going to go through the list of all the injuries the kid suffered, just to say that I am very sorry for what happened to the kid, and it feels like a massive escalation to take a kid from a parent because the parent smokes weed. I think under certain circumstances, the kid could easily have been kept away from the dad while the dad did smoke it, and depending on the type of weed, of course, then you could consider the effect it has on him. But as I've noticed, many smoke blunts as a mean to chill, relax, unless in the context of this entire scenario, he was smoking to excess to the point where he was of absolutely no use. But the article does not state this, so it seems a bit extreme to consider it. But, of course, one must put it out there. If that's the case, then okay, then Texas didn't goof in the slightest. They did with the person they chose, but, of course, we can't predict everyone has a golden heart. Anyway, I would very much like to know what you think about this, about New York possibly introducing that whole texting walking ban thing, and the retards that destroyed all those lovely trains. So please let me know in the comments below, and I hope you all have a lovely Monday, and thank you all for listening.